Hi, my name is Harley, and I'm your host for this podcast series, Clarion Chats, which is a new podcast series on the Clarion Calls podcast where we talk about previous and upcoming events. I'm joined today by my co-host, Josh.
Hello, hello, hello.
And our special guest, Eric. Eric, do you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Hi, my name is Eric Payne. I do also work at the Clarion. I am a graphic designer. I've been with the Clarion for about a year now.
Let's start with our first topic today. This was announced on Twitter today. President Joe Biden announced officially that all U.S. troops will be withdrawn from Afghanistan by September 11th. And this withdrawal will start on May 1st. What are our thoughts on this?
Personally, I'd say it's about time. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about it because this is, in many ways, shaping up just to be another Vietnam, where we've been there forever. And at the end, we haven't really accomplished most of our goals. And as soon as we leave, we're just, it's going to be a takeover. The Taliban has, from what I've been told, been making some ground, both politically and mostly politically. So the moment we're out of there, it's, but if we do leave, it opens up the chances for renewed peace talks, which started under President Trump. Originally, the deadline was supposed to be May, I believe, but with Biden coming in, the talks kind of just stopped. So with Joe reopening, moving the date, we'll see how this goes.
So on April 13th, both the CDC and the FDA are putting a pause on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine because it has caused 6 rare blood clot cases in people. I know, Eric, you got the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. How does this news make you feel?
Personally, when I heard about this, I was like, well, to be honest, with everything that I've heard about the vaccines, not just Johnson & Johnson, but like, when Pfizer and also Moderna came out with theirs and there was stuff with that, it just didn't really faze me, even despite the fact that, I got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The vaccine they're talking about is causing these reactions. But like, I kind of walked. The thing is, like, I didn't like really freak out or be like, okay, oh my gosh, like what's going on? I mean, part of me was like that, but then the other part was like, okay, you kind of also had that in the back of your brain going into this. Everybody does, because like these vaccines, they're new, and yes, there's new technology that developed them. But like at the same time, we're seeing all these reactions. People have different reactions to stuff. I don't have a history of like reacting to vaccines or shots like that. So I kind of was like, I was fine when I even first got the vaccine on the day of. But I wasn't like too worried about it.
Here's the thing. Statistically, you're more likely to get blood clots from COVID than you are from the vaccines. Like you said, it is only in 6 people. And like Eric said, we have made leaps and jumps forward in medical technology. But the COVID vaccine is based on pre-existing technology. It's based on pre-existing vaccines and things we already had that they modified in order to combat COVID. Like the big difference between COVID and literally any other vaccine we pressed out isn't the time it took to make it. It's that the approval process usually takes years, and that's with any medicine, or at least it's supposed to be. COVID working isn't the problem. It's, like you said, potential side effects, but between the more definite side effects of COVID and the maybe I'm 1 in possibly 7 million people that might have a violent reaction, Yeah, it's not that hard of a toss up.
Yeah.
At least for me, it isn't.
So Josh, we're going to talk about something that we've talked about on this podcast in the past. The murder trial that is currently going on. For George Floyd's murder. I read today that closing arguments are scheduled for this upcoming Monday. They had their last witness on the stand earlier this week. But what are our thoughts on this trial that's continuing to go on?
This looks like it's going to be a clear conviction. Like the defense has not been able to, time and time again, the witnesses put forward by the prosecution have kind of blown apart the arguments made by the defense. The defense's main argument was that Chauvin was just following police. Thank you, protocol. Protocol. He was following protocol, just following orders. And then you had his police chief come on and say that no, he was most definitely not following orders. That is not police protocol. Like you said, they had the brother come in. They had a doctor put forward by the prosecution who tried to argue that poisonous fumes from the car, which was parked a couple of feet away, were the cause of the suffocation. Just time and time again, every argument put forward by the prosecution has been just put forward by the defense has been dismantled by the prosecution. So if he does not end up in jail, it ain't gonna be pretty.
Sunday, April 11th, Daunte Wright. He was 20 years old. He was shot by an officer who mistaken her gun for her taser. And the officer's name was Kim Potter. She was 26. She resigned on Wednesday, and it looks like she's going to be charged with second-degree manslaughter. So my question is, why did this, like, her case go so quick? Like, why is she already convicted?
She's so close to George Floyd because it's so close to George Floyd. Yeah. Wait, if this had happened, I don't know, like a couple states away, it would have been a story. But it would have taken a while. The fact that it's come back so quickly is entirely because it is essentially just down the street from the Floyd trial, from the Chauvin trials. It is not a good look.
Yeah,
I agree that since this is so close to where George Floyd died and all that, and the trial is all that going on, I do see that. Like, I understand why this is taking. It took like seconds for it to all be like, okay, yep, resign, convicted, done, move along. Mm-hmm.
I just think, like going back off what Josh said too, if like he doesn't get like a major conviction, or like he doesn't get convicted at all, then it's like, okay, the whole like Minneapolis is probably gonna be burned down. Like, you think it was bad back in June and July, they're gonna burn that entire city to the ground. That's how I gather. It's like, if it will spark so much. Like, I feel like it impacted that time frame a lot, especially since it was like, still early in the pandemic when it happened. It was just like, it sparked so much outrage, so much tension. And I will also say this: what happened with George Floyd and just the whole Black Lives Matter movement, it kind of really revealed people's true colors, because you had people coming out of pocket saying this and that and that and this about it. And it's like, this was different because like it was like almost everywhere. People are inside, they're like, they're on social media, they're on their computers just trolling and saying this and that. So you're hearing people say everything, because people were getting on others, because they were saying that, they were either like making fun of the situation, or like they were saying derogatory racist things.
Overall, do we have any more commentary on the trial or on what happened to Daunte Wright before we move on?
With just the trial for George Floyd, I mean, it's really like, we just had to see what happens. We're gonna get an answer at some point. We just gotta probably just see what pans out.
We're going to move on. Prince Phillip died on April 9th, and his funeral was being held, and usually in UK tradition, especially royal family tradition, is like a week-long kind of thing. We'll move on to something that we talked about last week. So Josh, last week I mentioned how American Horror Story, you were going to be able to vote on the season's theme. I told you there was 4 things that you could vote on. And it got narrowed down to Sirens and Plague, but then people demanded a recount, and so Ryan Murphy recounted, and it's down to Sirens and Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. It's such an interesting pocket of history.
The Met Gala has announced that they are going to put on the biggest fashion event of the year. So it's going to happen on September 13th of 2021. And then they're going to do it again on May 5th, 2022.
Yay. I love the Met Gala.
So the Met Gala is coming back after its break from COVID. So lastly, we're going to talk about articles you may have missed this week. So we posted a new On Body Corner on April 12th. We posted a Military Family Education Center relocation on April 13th. On April 14th, we also posted about in-person graduation ceremony for St. Clair students. And today, the 15th, we posted Sinclair receives award for National Weather Service. So that is what you might have missed this week. But that's going to be it for this episode of Clarion Chats. I hope you enjoyed. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe, share with a friend. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.